Hello and welcome to another episode of Motors for the Masses. Now, I want you to imagine sometime in 1988 a retired Yamaha XT500 was rolling past a Honda showroom when it noticed out of the corner of its headlight a shiny new Honda Dominator. Plucking up the courage, it rolled on into the showroom and slithered up alongside the Dominatrix and said in hushed exhaust notes, "Hey, you and I, how about it?" And the rest is history, because after a very long pregnancy, disregarding the Yamaha XT600 and 660 of course, the MASH X-Ride 650 was born in 2020. So let's roll the intro and get cracking. Crack! The MASH X-Ride uses the Honda Dominator-based 644cc four-stroke single-cylinder engine, developing 40 brake horsepower and 33 pounds-foot of torque, meaning top speed is around 100 miles an hour. MASH have tweaked the engine to incorporate Delphi EFI, so it's fuel injection now, and not carburetor. That can only be good. Of course, it means it's Euro 4 compliant. And with the fins and the oil cooler means it's oil and air cooled. Up front you have the traditional style front suspension, and on the rear you have a monoshock, sort of cantilever-esque because it's to one side rather than in the centre, with this air-filled piggyback shock arrangement. On the rear you get a 240mm disc with a single piston caliper. And on the front, a 320mm disc with radial brakes and, of course, ABS. And wrapped around the brakes, you get these lovely gold-spoked wheels. Really am impressed with those. I love the look of those. Look really good. Remember, we had those on the Bianco Hero. Looked good on that as well, and that was a white bike. So white and gold goes very nicely together. Wrapped around there, you have street scrambler-esque type tyres made by Kenda. I think they look quite nice. However, despite the fact you've got a 120 on the front and a 150 on the rear, so they look quite chunky, I kind of would have thought this bike needs sort of at least 19-inch wheels, perhaps even a 21. No, 21 may be a bit too big, but 19-inch wheels perhaps, or at least on the front. These 17s possibly look a little bit small. I don't know. What do you think? Let us know in the comment section below. Other than that, we'll see what they're like when we're out on the road. For now, I'm going to drink some tea. Isn't tea wonderful? Thank you, Lorna, for my cup of tea. Amazing. Oh, lovely. Continuing with that 70s look, you get a 12-litre fuel tank. Looks quite small from the side, but it's actually quite wide from the top, and I'll show you that in a second. The seat, 830mm high, but it's actually very comfortable. It's firm, but it's comfortable. It feels almost gel-like, like the more you sit in it, the more it sort of contours to your backside. And I like that. Now, this is for demonstration purposes only. You should never sit on a bike on the side stand, of course. But with your legs up, nothing digs in your side there, and it does hold you very nicely. Again, as I say, very firm, but very comfortable firm, not hard firm. So yeah, I'm quite impressed with that. I am looking forward to taking this out on the road, just to see how it performs. Initially, mirrors are visible. Good God, I can see the road and what's behind me without seeing loads of arm. That'll be interesting. And they turn as well, so you can make them slightly wider. Well, this might be an enjoyable ride yet. Not that it was going to be a horrible ride, but you know what I mean, mirror-wise, because that is usually my biggest bugbear. mirrors that don't stick out far enough, but these go up quite high. I don't know if that works for the looks, but it works for practicality, and that, I think, is slightly more important. So before we go jaunting, let's take a closer peek at these looks. I love this twin exhaust and this number board arrangement, and the way it molds nicely around there for the exhaust to come out. Very nice indeed. I like this back rack. Very small but purposeful. Looks like you could definitely stick something on it. Perhaps a third person. Not in this country, of course. I also love the fact that they've made a decent chunky bracket, not just some flimsy piece of metal. You may have to remove the reflector to get a British number plate on there. Possibly, but I don't know. Just stick a sticky one on the number plate. No big deal. But I like everything else about it and the way it's made. It's not cheap. Nothing is nasty and flimsy and ugh. I haven't found anything on this bike yet that's made me go, ugh. Everything seems very well put together. This rear footrest, nice quality feel. This brake pedal, nice quality feel. The same with the footrests. The handlebars have gone for the fat bars that thin out to the traditional 22mm. Very nice design. Everything feels well put together. Everything just looks nicely made. And they've seemed to manage to keep the retro look, but gone very modern. And retro mixed with modern is not so easy to do, because quite often people get it wrong. And it just looks a bit, which one is it? But this, they've managed to do really well. I'm actually quite impressed with it. And I hope the ride is as impressive as the looks. Especially the sound, we're going to hear that in a minute. These rear lights are LED, but again, I like the design. Just little subtle design features in there. It's very, very smooth. Nothing is stuck out. Nothing is flimsy. I mean, yeah, of course they're flimsy because they're on rubbers, but that's by the by. And this, again, tiny little light, but very impressive. In fact, if I turn it on, bright LEDs and bright rear light. And the same could be said about the front. I love the fact they put an X in here. See that? Very nice design feature. Again, you've got the LED indicators and the front lights. Very nice indeed. Now, when I first saw this sump guard, I thought, oh, it's metal, but it's not. It's actually plastic. But it's quite hard, stiff plastic. It's not thin plastic. I can see why they've done it. Now, a lot of people go for a metal bash guard because obviously it needs to take some punishment. But if it's thick enough plastic, it'll do the job. I don't know if it'll crack if it hits a rock rather than dent. So, I don't know. Maybe a metal one would have been better. I don't know. The only way to tell is to smack it against a rock, and I don't think they're going to let me do that today. But anyway, what do you reckon? Plastic okay, or do you think it should be metal? But overall, I think what makes it look so good and makes it work is that it flows. Flow, 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 flow. It's not just a seat that's been stuck on a frame or a tank that's been stuck on, looks a bit odd, or the mud guard is just shoved in the front there. It actually seems to flow very nicely. I like this as well. This is nice, massive, chunky, lovely swing arm. Very purposeful. Looks like it can take a lot of punishment. And when I get my 16 stone bum on there, anyway, that's enough of that. The bike measures in at 2.1 meters long, 870 millimeters wide and 1.2 meters tall. And it weighs in at just 169 kilos. That's not a lot of weight for such a 650-esque type bike, if you know what I mean. It's flickable. It isn't weighty at all. I don't feel as though I'm going to drop this at all. Interested to see how this is going to take corners. Could this be a potential toy for me? What do you reckon, Mash? Do you want to give me one? I'll ride it around all year round. Advertising, free. I'll put Motors for the Masses on the side. I'll put Mash on the side because obviously it's got Mash. I don't mind riding one for free. What do you reckon? Let me know in the comments section below, Mr. Mash of UK. Now, one thing you may or may not have noticed is this. Now, this is a dipstick because there isn't a sump. The oil is in the frame. See? Okay, so let's start it up, have a listen, and take it out on the road. At this point, there's one thing I want to mention. This hazard flasher, however cool it is, you can actually catch your hand on it and whilst you're riding, flick it onto hazard. That's possibly not a good idea. So what did I think of that? Well, actually it's a very comfortable, as I thought, very comfortable but very precise ride. This engine picks up and it shoots off really nicely indeed, as you saw in the video there. I am quite impressed with the way it pulls. The way it rides is just as good. I was hoping it was going to be a good ride, to be honest, and I was a little bit nervous that maybe that smaller front wheel would make it a little bit stiff on the front end, but no, it does pull corners very nicely. It's precise, it pulls into a corner nicely, it comes out of the corner really nicely. As I said, it is flickable. 169 kilos, it doesn't feel like a lot of weight that you're flicking around. You can whip it from corner to corner, no problem at all. Really am pretty impressed with that ride. I do wonder, as an experiment, what it would have been like with a bigger front wheel, whether it would have been better or worse. It'd be nice to experiment that at some point maybe. But other than that, no problems whatsoever. As I say, picks up nicely, brakes really well. Those ABS brakes, fantastic, but let's be honest, it's ABS. You wouldn't expect anything less. Again, mirrors, yes, really good. I can see well out of the mirrors. This one, I just need to adjust a tiny bit because it was a little bit tight in the wrong way. There you go, done. Now I can see everything. I don't see arm and I can see all behind me. Fantastic. It's a very nice position. The handlebars are a perfect width and everything, as I say, is in the right place. Very easy to use, horn there. This you would think is the manual choke, but it's not, it's the hazard flashers. On here you've got your kill switch and your start button, indicators, lights, and your ABS off. So if you do want to be adventurous and take it off-road, you can switch the ABS off. Go for it. It's fun. So yeah, I like the seating position. I like the height. I like the feel of it. I like the way it looks. I don't have anything negative to say about the ride whatsoever. Very impressed. And I do possibly see one of these in my garage in the future. I also don't get any issues from these tyres. Very grippy. Even though they're brand new tyres, they hold the road really nicely, and you don't get any knobbles. It's not as though you're rolling down the road at all. Not at all. Because of the way they're curved quite nicely and they're not overly knobbly, they actually work as they should. Very impressed with the tyres. They do work nicely. They look good as well, don't they? Nice chunky front tyres. At slow speeds, on tight corners, that front tyre could possibly be a little bit stiff. Does that make sense? But it's not a problem. It's not as if it's off-putting. It's just, you can feel it on slow turns. But let's be honest, you don't really do that many slow turns on a bike, do you? Mostly you're riding at normal speeds, taking corners, and nobody does that really, do they? Everyone sort of turns about that much. So it's not really a problem. I'm just being a bit fiddly. Gear change, very smooth. It's not punch into gear. It does smoothly go into gear. Finding neutral, a couple of points was a little bit fiddly. Is it? No, it's second. Oh no, back into first again. But you know, we've got that on a lot of bikes, haven't we? It's not really a massive issue. It's you know, I mean, like now, into first gear, back into neutral. It's fine. Like I say, it's only a couple of times. It's a very small, fine line between first and second. But other than that, very positive gear change, very smooth gear change. So there you go. Now the MASH X-Ride 650 comes in at £5,199 on the road with a 2-year parts and labour warranty, but it does only come in one colour option, and that is white. It would have been nice to have seen maybe a pearl black or a red, something that's still traditional, but just a different option. Now, let us know your thoughts. Do you have one of these already? Do you have one on order? Do you like it? Let me know in the comment section below if there's anything else that you would consider. And I don't mean like the ridiculously expensive Yamaha Tenere or the £5,800 Honda CB500X or even the Honda CRF 450, which is £8,800. Yeah, I know, I was shocked too. So if there's anything else in the running, please let me know, but I don't know there's anything that's enduro, adventure, street scrambler-esque like this. If I've missed something, or if there is, please let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what it is and why it's better. But I'm constantly impressed with MASH. They build really good quality bikes. I don't really have any issues with their bikes at the moment. They're built well, they look good, they sound good, they go well, they use tried and tested proper engines. I'm impressed. Well done, MASH. So, again, that's not because I want them to give me one. Although if they did want to, then I wouldn't say no. I do like it, and I will ride it a lot, Mr. MASH UK. Thank you very much. By the way, we're not sponsored by MASH or anyone else, so don't get me wrong. These are my honest opinions. I'm not sponsored by anyone. But anyway, enough of that. We'll be back again soon with Malcolm and Jamie on board doing something. Jamie is always there. He's helping me out filming whilst I'm out on the road, so thank you very much for Jamie. He's often there behind the scenes, just doesn't necessarily want to be on camera. Malcolm, we talk all the time, and he's doing other projects at the moment, but we will get him back on board doing other stuff as well. So I apologise he hasn't been on camera very much recently, but he will be, won't you, Malcolm? Reply in the comment section below so I know you've watched this at least. Oh, before I do end, I just want to interject that there's a calendar coming out. Yes, we've got a 2021 calendar coming out, and it'll be available about a week after this video goes live. So please check the link in the description below to our Facebook shop, because it'll be on there, and I'll put it on our shop, Lightning Storm Motorcycles, as well. It'll be on there on Facebook. So yeah, if you want a 2021 calendar, it's £9.99 plus a little bit of postage and packaging. 12 individual months with all the crew, including Malcolm and Jamie and myself and other things on loads of different bikes in different scenes and stuff. So yeah, check it out. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, back to him on there, which is me, but you know what I mean. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Motors for the Masses. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye-bye.